This analogy completely turned around my Amazon business. It took me from a small seller who was really running a side hustle, doing 5 to 10K per month, all the way to a seller doing over 500K in sales per month with a warehouse, a full team of staff, and a consistently growing and profitable Amazon FBA business. And in all honesty, I put a lot of my success down to actually understanding this analogy that I'm about to share with you in a moment. This analogy was an epiphany, or something I realized about 2 to 3 years into my Amazon journey, and it completely changed the way that I looked at my business, the way that I ran and operated my business, and it allowed me to turn it from a lifestyle business into a business with systems, process, operation, teams, and a business that has lots of potential to be very, very successful. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what the analogy is, how I came to this conclusion, and what was really the turning point for me in understanding this and how it has impacted my business. And make sure you stay to the end of the video, because I'm going to be giving you tangible steps of things that you can implement from this analogy. One of the biggest questions I get asked all the time is Amazon FBA saturated? My answer to everybody has been the same for the past 2 to 3 years. And that answer is yes, if you don't know where to look and you don't have the right strategies. However, no, it's not saturated if you actually have the right strategies and you know what you're looking for. And if you truly understand how the business model works, you see it through the right lens, and you have the right strategy, I'm telling you, there is an abundance of opportunity in the market in 2025. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the analogy that once I understood and adopted within my business, I was able to 10x the growth within my business. And I genuinely mean that, right? It took me from doing 10 to 20 to maybe even 30K per month in sales to actually hitting a record month of almost £600,000 in 1 month in sales. So at this point in the video, you're probably saying, Jack, what actually is the analogy that 10x'd your business? Well, that analogy is called gaining a competitive advantage. Upon face value, obviously this seems super simple, right? Gaining a competitive advantage in business, why would you not want to gain an advantage against your competition? Of course you would. But when you really understand what this means on a deeper level, and you start positioning your strategies and the way you look through the lens of this business model with that analogy in mind, I promise you, you will 10x your business. For those of you who are unsure what a competitive advantage is, a competitive advantage is simply where you will have an advantage against your competition. Whether that's you have access to buy better products than them, products that they can't access, whether you have access to a supplier base that they don't have access to, or whether you have access to the products at a much more competitive rate. Competitive advantage can come in a multitude of different formats, okay? It doesn't just have to be the products you're buying, the suppliers you're getting it from. It can be absolutely anything within your proximity that you have that you can leverage and basically have a better advantage than everybody else. An example of not having a competitive advantage is you start Amazon, and bear in mind, this is exactly how I started, and this is the wrong way to do it. I started Amazon. I wanted to buy and sell products to make a profit. So what I did was I found products on Amazon. I then went to Google and found a wholesaler that I could buy the product for at a competitive price. I would then list the products on Amazon and sell it for a profit. Now, the problem with this is the method and the strategy was super simple. I would search for a wholesaler on Google. I would apply for a trade account, would open the trade account, and then I would sell the products. Okay, so I was selling big, well-known brands like Nivea, Radox, Lynx, these kind of brands. I was buying from such low barrier to entry wholesalers that I had no advantage. I was finding the same type of products as everybody else. I was opening the trade accounts with the same type of wholesalers and distributors and brands as everybody else. And I was probably buying at a very similar price to all of my competitors. So I'm buying at the same price, same product, selling on the same listing. I have no advantage. There is a level playing field, okay? So what that means is because the barrier to entry is so low and is such a level playing field that it simply just becomes a race to the bottom. And that's why if you don't adopt this thought process and this way of thinking of how you can gain a competitive advantage, you will simply just be chasing an uphill battle in your Amazon business. Now, I'm in a good position to say this because this was me, and this was my Amazon business for the first 18 months to 24 months when I first started. It was frequent that we'd have 5, 10, 20, 30 different sellers on each listing, and it was just simply a race to the bottom. I know you might be thinking, Jack, of course, this is obvious. If I could buy from the suppliers that other people couldn't buy from, I would obviously create a successful Amazon business. Well, you need to adopt that into your business, and you actually need to understand that it is possible. You've got to position yourself and your strategies in a way that allows you to gain a competitive advantage. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you some tangible steps that you can use to actually gain this competitive advantage. And once you truly understand this concept and adopt the way you see things and actually start implementing strategies that align with gaining yourself a competitive advantage, I promise you within 3 to 6 months, you can build a very, very profitable Amazon FBA business. So on face value, most people understand this, okay? And they see it as obvious. However, it's implanted into their subconscious mind. So they're not consciously thinking all of the time about how they can gain that advantage. Because most people know this information, but they don't actually do anything about it. And that's why most people are unsuccessful with their Amazon businesses. And it's why most people do quit within the first 12 months of starting. And it's why it's constantly an uphill battle of people saying, I've started an Amazon business, it's not working, it's not profitable, there's no money to be made. And it's because they aren't looking at the business through this lens. So one tip that I would give to everybody is just write down on a piece of paper or write down on your notes on your phone, how can I gain a competitive advantage? And just look at the statement, remind yourself of it every single day and implement this into your Amazon business. Because you're embedding it into your conscious mind, every single little action that you do towards product sourcing, contacting brands, negotiations, you will always be thinking, how can I get an advantage over my competition? And that is exactly what you need to be thinking. And that is exactly how things are going to start to fall into place. You're going to be doing things subconsciously because you are making yourself aware of what you need to achieve each and every day. So how do you actually get this competitive advantage? Ultimately, what it boils down to is you need to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. And that's going to allow you to get results that other people aren't willing to get. I'm sure you see it online all the time that people have scaled their Amazon business to 5K a month, 10K a month, 20K a month. What actually separates the people doing 5, 10, 20K per month to 500K per month, 1 million a month, 10 million a month? And the thing that separates those is they're willing to do things that other people aren't. And that's why they're able to get results that other people aren't. So you need to be willing to do things that other people won't within your business and your personal life. Okay, so you need to figure out, right, how am I going to be able to get trade accounts with suppliers that other people can't get? How am I going to be able to source products, analyze products, and find them on Amazon and find these products that other people aren't getting? And how am I actually able to buy these products at a cheaper rate and a cheaper price and get better terms than everybody else is able to get? Okay, how am I able to maximize my time on the high value tasks within the business and not spend my time focusing on the lower value ones? Because competitive advantage comes in all different formats. Because you could have 2 Amazon sellers with the same sourcing and contacting abilities, but one Amazon seller knows how to delegate, they have systems, teams, operations, and they're able to spend all of their time on the high value task, which is the sourcing of the products and the contacting of the brands. Whereas you've got person B who may have the same ability, but because they don't know how to build systems, operations, and they don't have that advantage, they are wasting too much time in the lower value tasks within the business, which means that their business is not going to grow anywhere near as fast as person A. And that is because person A has created themselves what's called a competitive advantage over their competition. They've got better systems, better processes, and they've understood what are my competition not doing that I can do to better myself and give myself that little bit of an advantage. Another great example is environment, okay? So you've got person A and person B. Person A understands that environment is everything, okay? And creating that perfect environment is going to allow you to maximize your working potential. So person A eliminates all distractions. They don't have their phone in their room when they're working. They eat the right foods to make sure that their cognitive brain function is at its maximum. They're making sure that they eat at the right times of day, and they make sure that they plan their day around work, okay? Whereas person B gets distracted by their phone, they eat the wrong type of food, and they're quite sluggish throughout the day. Person A can actually get probably the same amount of work done in a 3-hour period than person B can get done in a maybe 8 or 9 hour period. And that's because they've understood what is everybody else doing and where is everybody else losing time and how can I get an advantage against my competition. So it applies to all different areas, not just product sourcing. So you need to be analyzing every area of your life and every area of your business and go, okay, how can I gain an advantage against my competition? And of course, when we're talking Amazon specifically, the main ones is finding the right type of products that other people can't get, with the right type of brands and suppliers that other people are unable to open trade accounts with, and obviously negotiating prices that other people can't. So I'm going to go into how you can actually do that a bit better now. So when it comes to gaining a competitive advantage in product sourcing, you need to be able to find, analyze, and identify opportunities that others can't. So you need to understand where is everybody else looking and what are the types of products that most people are looking for the likes of the new seller who's maybe started 3 to 6 months ago is probably looking from the generic type of wholesalers, and they're looking at brands like Nivea, Lynx, Dove, these big kind of brands. You know that you need to stay away from those. So you need to be able to identify products and opportunities that others are unable to spot. In terms of contacting brands, you need to be able to open trade accounts that others can't. So a great example of this is if you simply just make an inquiry with a supplier and they come back to you on day one and say, thank you for making the inquiry, here's a price list, here's an account form, please fill it out and we can get things moving. Okay, you've had to do pretty much no work for that account. You have contacted the brand, they've come back to you straight away with a price list and account form. There is no objections and there was no rejection from the brand. On face value, you may think, great, I've got the account open, I'm going to find some profitable products. However, the way I look at it is that's a red flag to me straight away, because it means that if I'm able to get that account open so easily, how easily is everybody else going to be able to get the account? Probably pretty easy as well, right? So what you actually want to be finding is the type of brands that don't respond to you, or the type of brands that actually do reject you and do have objections. And it's actually your ability to overcome those objections and turn their rejection into an opened account. That's where you're actually going to be able to gain the competitive advantage, because you're going to be able to get account open that other people simply aren't. And you're able to do this because other people don't understand how to overcome the objections. They don't know how to turn a rejection into a positive. By learning and understanding these different skills and these different analogies, it's going to enable you to massively scale your business. Because if 90% of people just will move on to the next inquiry, you want to be the 1, 2, 3% of person that actually goes and gets that trade account open, because you know nobody else is going to be able to get it open. And when it comes to negotiations, it's exactly the same. I see this happen all the time, okay? When you're dealing with brands directly, you will open an account with them. You may have taken 4 weeks, 6 weeks to open the account, and it may have actually been pretty hard to open the account. Honestly, probably 6 to 7 times out of 10, you'll get the price list and there is no profit there. It's maybe 2% margin, 5% margin, 8% margin, and you think, what have I just wasted my time for? A lot of people will go and try negotiate, but they won't really understand negotiations, how to negotiate, how to position themselves in their business and articulate themselves in the right way, and they won't be able to negotiate properly. Whereas if you learn, right, okay, how do I negotiate properly? How do I position myself to the supplier to make them incentivized to want to give me a better price, to want to work with me, to want to work with me long term? And this is how you're going to be able to gain that competitive advantage. But ultimately, it all comes down to you. Okay, you need to be seeing the business through this lens of always gaining an advantage against your competition. And there is a really famous saying that is, you don't have business problems, you have personal problems. And what I mean by this is the business can only be as good as the person operating it. So you need to make sure that you have the right mindset, that you're willing to work harder than everybody else. The fact that you're willing to go the extra mile, the fact that you're willing to think of things differently to everybody else from a different perspective, that you're not just doing the same as the masses. In Amazon specifically, the right mindset partnered with the right strategies can truly change your life. So if you're looking to get into Amazon, or maybe you're an existing seller and you're really looking to create a long-term, sustainably profitable Amazon business, go to the description of this video because I may be able to help you, okay? You can book a call in with me below and we'll basically go through exactly what it is you're doing at the moment, what your goals are, and whether or not we can help. I run a program called the ANZ Blueprint where I help new and existing Amazon sellers scale their business to a profitable level. So if you're wanting to take your Amazon business to the next level, go to the description and book a call. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure you drop it a like, subscribe, and comment any further video ideas in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.